25 home runs for Lauer, and this is the first month. And the White Sox this afternoon get 7 strong innings out of Jose Contreras, his first win in 6 weeks, as they finally find a way to beat the Royals 4-2.
Mauer only 6 home runs in the last season, and Moyer, even though the 6th shutout inning, was not happy last night after the game after having coming out of the bullpen.
Well, this is a big week in Mets history as we celebrate the 40th anniversary of the 1969 Mets World Championship team. And later tonight, we will be honoring Gil Hodges as we speak with his widow Joan and his son Gil Jr. Prado back in Atlanta having his head checked out after he has suffered another headache last night. So the Braves playing a man short tonight. And Adam LaRoche came off the bench to sub for Prado last night, hit a home run. He is off to a glorious return with Atlanta. The Braves begin the night 4 games out of the wild card lead behind Colorado.
Well, Bobby Parnell getting his 3rd start of the season. Think about it. 11 months ago in Washington, he had that perfect inning in relief, and now being deemed as a starter. Probably get about 10 starts here down the stretch as the Mets try to evaluate if it could be Parnell in that rotation for 2010.
And we'll take a look at the New York Metropolitan defense, brought to you by Lexus. And you can see Murph. Only 6 errors at first base. And I tell you what, he's done a pretty good journeyman's work over there at first base for a guy that started out in left field and just moved over there. He's really kind of acclimated himself in quite well.
Well, we mentioned Martin Prado last night, and it started on Saturday. First time that he swung the bat, he felt a pain in the side of his head. It happened again in the batting cage Sunday, but they checked him out, had a CAT scan, found nothing wrong, so they pronounced him ready to play. But he went out last night, first inning, and had to immediately come out of the game. They flew him back to Atlanta, and he was to have seen the doctor this afternoon. And there's certainly concern in the Braves camp for Prado and what's going on.
You know, it's pretty amazing to watch him last night. Probably took his batting practice, felt fine, and as soon as he hit that pop-up, had the jerk to look up at it, and it looked like he had that queasy feeling.
Omar Infante will get things started for Atlanta. Infante missed 3 months with a broken hand, has come back and taken over the leadoff spot lately for Atlanta. He's hitting at .323. Bobby Parnell, third major league start, and his first pitch in tight for ball 1.
Oh, Infante had a tough night in the field. He cost his club around 3 runs last night. The ground ball in the hole. We thought he could have dove for. So he, in that double play ball, he just kind of took his time on the double play that Pagan beat out, that kept the inning going.
The season began, Kelly Johnson was playing just about every day at second base, but has lost more and more playing time as the year has gone along to Infante and to Prado. Hit the straightaway center, and Pagani is back for the first out of the game. So Infante retired, 1 away. And now Garrett Anderson is hitting second in the order tonight, one of 5 left-handed bats in the Braves lineup. And we talked about it in the open, Ronnie. How will Parnell's approach change tonight with all these lefties?
Well, Gary, I don't think it's going to change too much here in the first inning, first time through the lineup, but he's going to have to make some adjustments as he goes. Because with this left-handed lineup, it's going to be really hard for him to power his way through 2, 3, 4 at-bats. He's going to have to make an adjustment, use his secondary pitches, and even use his third pitch, his changeup, but he hasn't used too much this season.
This is only the second time this year that Anderson has batted in the 2-hole for the Braves.
Garrett Anderson, now 37 years old, 2,468 hits. Does he have a chance for 3,000?
Well, when I watch him play, I think he is still an outstanding hitter, but I just feel his legs right now are a little old to be in that outfield every day and to play 150 games, which you probably need to play.
And is he enough of a power threat for him to be a DH in the American League?
And probably not. Yeah.
Not on a regular basis anyway.
And that's another issue with this Brave team, the corner outfield positions with Diaz and Anderson in the corner outfield positions in this big ballpark. That is leaves a lot of responsibility on Ryan Church, who's now playing center field.
But Garrett Anderson should really thank me, because I'm the one who gave him his confidence in the first game he ever played in the major leagues.
First 2 hits against
me. I got him going on the right way.
Only 2,466 since then. And Anderson hits one to right center. Over goes Frank Coor. And that's the second out. So 2 balls in the air and 2 retired. And now Chipper Jones will bat with the bases empty. Chipper 0 for 3 last night. Tonight is playing his 200th career game against the Mets. In the first 199, Chipper has 41 homers and 129 RBIs and a .328 batting average against the Mets. There's Derek Lowe, who is not sweating quite as much as he was in the 4th last night.
He looks like he got over it.
Well, he's had himself a fine first year in Atlanta. Had been on a roll before last night, but he got on one of those treadmills last night where he just couldn't get off.
He's had 3 kind of seasons, really. The beginning season where he went 5-2, really struggled in the middle, and then had won 5 in a row. Was going for 6 straight last night before the Mets threw those 10 hits on him in that inning.
Chipper check swings and fouls it off. And Parnell relying on his fastball in the first inning.
Yeah, you can do that. I was talking to him, and he was mentioning that he knows that he's going to have to really observe the hitters as he's pitching and try to make adjustments as the game goes on, especially now where he's at 85 to 100 pitches.
Braves have seen a little of Parnell. They faced him 7 times in relief for a total of 4 2/3 innings. So it's not the first time around for most of these guys. But it's different, right, when you're facing a guy 2, 3, 4 times in one game.
Oh, yeah, you can't keep going to the well, especially a guy like Chipper Jones.
Check swing. He went around, strike 3. So Parnell has his first strikeout of the night. And he sets the Braves down 1, 2, 3. Mets come to bat against Jurgens in the bottom of the first with no score. After that outburst last night, Jerry Manuel hasn't changed a thing. The same starting 8 that he ran out there last night when the Mets put together their first 10-hit inning in club history. Gary Sheffield, first Met in 6 years to have 2 extra base hits in 1 inning. But a tough customer for the Mets tonight in Jair Jurgens.
Jair Francois Jurgens from Willemstad, Curaçao. 3-1 against the Mets in his lifetime. 7 innings pitched, 2 earned runs in his last start. Only mistake, a Nutley home run.
That was a lot of knowledge you dropped on us right there.
Francois.
The producer doesn't give me a lot of time, so I got to spill it in there.
So you probably know that Jurgens speaks English and Dutch and French
and Papa Miento.
Papa Miento. Very nice. Okay. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, here's Angel Pagan. Angel went 1 for 5 last night and drove in a run by beating out a double play ball during that long inning. They not only got a run in, but they'll prolong it for some more. Getting a 284 on the year.
Best language he speaks is that hammer that the Mets are going to see tonight and try to decipher. Very rare 4-pitch pitcher this young in his career, 23 years old. There's Brian McCann. Had a tough, I mean, not a tough night. He had a hit, but he hit the ball so hard the first 2 times at bat.
It just seemed like when the Mets came back and put that 8 spot up in the 4th, it just kind of took all the starch out of the Braves.
2-2 to Pagan. Every year, each team has 3 players nominated for the Hank Aaron Award as the best offensive player in baseball. It has been such an injury-plagued year for the Mets that one of their 3 is Angel Pagan, who's had 169 at bats. Popped up in foul ground, and Chipper Jones puts it away, 1 away.
Well, we'll take a look at the Braves defense, brought to you by Ford. And you can see Gary, I'm just repeating what Gary's saying. His 200th career game at Chipper over there. But boy, he's been a Met killer.
I didn't mean to steal your thunder. I'm sorry.
Don't let it happen again.
You probably will.
I was pretty prepped for that one.
David Wright looking good and looking as though he could play today, but it's going to be another 14 days before he can get back in the lineup. Castillo chops one over Chipper Jones, and he's got himself another hit. Luis Castillo just continues to generate the base hits.
Well, when you force the corner infield positions to play in because you're a good drag bunter, oh, this is what can happen. And a guy like Castillo, and he knows this, there's no money for Luis in the air. He's got to hit the ball on the ground. You can see he's hitting the top half of the ball right there, just kind of slapping it the other way. And Luis, with his speed, he can still run.
He's been doing that for 13 years, and he is having himself a terrific season. Now here's Sheffield, coming off the big night last night, has 5 RBIs in the last 5 games. Mets have done very little against Jurgens. His 2 starts this year. Here on the 12th of May, 7 2/3, 2 runs, 7 hits, and no decision for him. And then in the middle of July in Atlanta, 6 scoreless innings, 2 hits, and an 11-0 win.
Well, he has in his no decisions this season. His ERA is right at 3. He had a 4-game losing streak this year where the Braves scored 5 runs total in those 4 games. So, you know, we're looking at a 12 or 13 game winner. It just doesn't show in his record.
He began with the Detroit Tigers, and then 2 winters ago, the Braves made a terrific deal. They traded Edgar Renteria to the Tigers and got back not only Jurgens, but also Gorkis Hernandez, whom they turned around in the deal for Nate McLeod. Pitch high, throw to second, and Castillo tagged out on the helmet.
Nice throw.
Infante got the tag down on the throw by McCann for the 2nd out.
Well, ball's up. Good pitch to throw right here. Up. No wasted motion. A little out inside the line. Well, I think he got him on the back.
You know what it was? This awkward slide by Luis.
It wasn't a good slide.
The front of his cleat sat him up.
It was not a good slide.
He's had a number of those kind of awkward half slides this year.
Gonna put the sliding pants on. Did you have those in your day?
Yes, I did. Watch this slide. See how his back up is so high? You want to be a little lower than that so you can get under the tag.
That helmet was right there for the taking. 2-1 to Sheffield, and he bounces one slowly foul. Cannon's thrown out a little under 25% this year. Two, and a breaking ball struck him out. Jurgens fans Sheffield to end the inning. So a hit and nobody left. The Braves and Mets head for the second, but no score. To the Mets, Xerox ready for real business. Brian McCann leads off for the Braves as we go to the second inning. McCann 1 for 4 last night, hitting at .283 on the year.
Well, she's got both teams covered.
That's a confused young lady right there.
That's a rarity right there.
Can't make up her mind.
Or she could be a front runner.
Over the bag and down the line. McCann's got himself a base hit. Sheffield tracks it, and McCann, who almost stumbled into an out last night in similar circumstances with Sheffield fielding a ball, this time able to slam on the brakes effectively.
Well, again, he could have tried for third leading off the inning. He had a shot to make it. But he hesitates here. Now, he doesn't run well, but again, looks like Lonnie Smith skates.
That is slow on slow.
Tatis almost slipped over the bag last night.
So here's Adam LaRoche, who punctuated one off the Pepsi porch last night, hitting a .263 on the year, and he takes high. LaRoche, who began his year in Pittsburgh, a brief stop in Boston before being traded to the Braves. His second tour of duty with Atlanta, and he's been tearing it up since arriving back with the Braves, hitting a .367 in 15 games. And he grounds one past Murphy and into right field. McCann pulls in at second, and back-to-back hits off Parnell to start the second inning.
And as Ronnie said at the top, left-handed lineup here, and a very good left-handed lineup. It's a big challenge for Parnell. Back-to-back hits off left-handers.
And you know, they watched that first inning and they saw what he came with. The fastball, being aggressive against the first few hitters. And LaRoche has always been a guy that'll jump on that first or second pitch fastball.
So now Yunel Escobar with 2 on and nobody out. Escobar leading the National League in batting with runners in scoring position, hitting .412 in RBI situations.
Well, Jurgens, Escobar.
Well, the Xerox inside pitcher, Bobby Parnell, electric fastball. He can throw a 95 or 92 with sink, developing slider. Right now, he uses it to strike out batters like he did Chipper Jones in the first. And Jerry Manuel used this word for Parnell today: poise. This is why they brought him up and on the team from spring training. He just has great poise for someone his age.
Ronnie's inside pitch, part of the business of baseball, brought to you by Xerox, ready for real business.
Well, that's one of the reasons why they moved this man down in the middle of the order. Remember, he hit second since coming up in the big leagues primarily. And at the start of this year, and he went the other way. They say now that he's hitting in the middle of the order, he's pulling more, Ronnie.
Broken bat flare into center field. That's a base hit. McCann will be held at third. And the Braves have the bases loaded and nobody out. Exploding bat, exploding into a base hit.
Well, Ronnie, it's a good pitch. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, huh?
Well, that's that sinker, but it is up a little. Whenever you go against the right-handed hitter and you're throwing that ball in and it's up, these are the things that could happen. Good swing by Escobar, gets jammed, and this is just, you make a good pitch and sometimes you're unlucky.
So Parnell, who was never in trouble in his last start against the Giants, in fact, San Francisco never had a runner past first base against Parnell, now faces a bases loaded, nobody out jam, and Dan Worthington will pay a visit to the mound before he goes after Matt Diaz.
You know, what I would do if I were pitching coach here is I'd go, hey, listen, McCann hit a ground ball that just eluded Tatis. Another ground ball by LaRoche that could have been a double play, and a broken bat hit. You're throwing the ball well. Just stay confident. Let's keep the ball down. Let's limit the damage. Get ourselves a ground ball and a double play.
And this is a guy who has traditionally not fared well against right-handed pitching. Diaz hitting just .220 against righties this year.
But he's having himself a fine season this year. And you can see the defense. They're going to play back. Shading the opposite field. Diaz goes the other way.
Bases loaded, nobody out, and Diaz takes one on the outside corner, 96 miles an hour.
Well, Diaz is a guy you can go up and down the ladder with. He's a free swinger. You can go upstairs with a fastball, and if you get ahead, you can go to some bad breaking balls in the dirt.
Diaz 2 for 4 last night, including a 3-run homer off Oliver Perez, and he lines one into center field, a base hit. McCann in with the first run of the game. LaRoche being waved home. Pagan's throw is cut off. A 2-run single for Matt Diaz. 4 straight hits for the Braves, who lead it 2-0.
The Braves in this inning are trying to do what the Mets did last night. Hanging slider, Keith.
Oh, yes. You see the circle on the ball right there. That is what you'd call a BP slider.
Keith, you made a great point there. If you can see a big circle on the ball, choosing one of those that just hangs in the middle, the smaller the circle, the better the break.
Except one guy went against that rule yet. The greatest slider ever faced. J.R. Richards. He had huge hands. Like, I don't know what he did. It's a big old red circle in that ball.
So here's Ryan Church, who went 0 for 4 last night in his return to Citi Field, and takes outside for ball 1. Ryan did not have a distinguished night at the plate. 3 ground balls and a strikeout.
Well, the Braves doing what they did last night, getting off early.
Church hits one in the air to center field, and Pagan measuring it, now coming in. That's the first out of the inning, and the runners have to hold. Well, the 3 starts for Parnell so far could not have begun more differently. In San Diego, he couldn't throw strikes. Against the Giants, he was dominant. Here, he's throwing strikes, but he's putting pitches in the middle of the plate, and they're getting hit.
Well, it's going to be a sacrifice here, Ron, and he's going to be 1 out away from just limiting the damage to 2 runs.
And it's also a part, you're talking about evaluating pitchers. Let's see how Mr. Parnell gets off the mound. Maybe he has a chance to make a play at third and get the force play.
Obvious bunt situation here. I don't think Bobby Cox is going to let Jurgens swing the bat.
Jurgens has 7 hits this year, 4 sacrifices, pops it up, and Santos can't quite get there. Got the glove on it, but with that glove fully extended on the ground, no chance to catch it.
Nice effort by O'Meara here. Hits his glove. Oh, we got over. Okay, he just was just a nice lunge right there. I think he lost sight of the ball.
I think I got him right on the wrist. In fact, he overdove, but still.
Nice effort.
Yeah, I love that effort.
Another muggy night here, boy. We've not had many of these this summer. We're going to get it against the last 3 weeks of the summer.
I think you're going to have a kind of season that runs into October, to tell you the truth.
Jurgens giving himself up. Gets the bunt down. Parnell will have to go to first. So the sacrifice successful. 1-4, moving Escobar to third and Diaz to second.
Well, here it is when you're a hitter, and you can see the bunt here. Murph coming in aggressively. Tatis not, because he can't vacate. The only time Tatis is going to come in, you want to bunt the ball down that line to force Tatis to field it. That vacates third base. But these are the big at bats right here where you can break a game open. 2 out RBI, men on base.
Omar Infante fly to center field, leading off the game. Looking for his first hit of the series.
This is the man he wants, and Bobby Parnell, that is. You got the veteran Anderson, the left-hand hitter in the on-deck circle. If you're Infante right now, you know if you get ahead in the count, they're going to come after you, even with the open base.
Grounded toward the hole. Hernandez on the backhand, a long throw to make on a hop. Safe as a run comes in. Infante beats it out on the 1-hop throw by Anderson Hernandez, and it's 3-0 Atlanta.
I've seen a lot of that this year, Gary. Ball in the hole short like this, and guys beating it out. I know that Infante doesn't run any faster than the guys around when I played. I've seen a lot of this.
That ball actually took a second hop. So 5 hits in the inning, 3 runs are home, and now Garrett Anderson, the 8th man up against Parnell, lined out to right field his first time up. But you know, that's the kind of play that the Mets are evaluating too, because as Jerry Manuel said the other day, he said, look, I know Anderson Hernandez is a fine second baseman. I don't know whether he can be the kind of shortstop who can fill in for a long stretch on a championship caliber team. And those are the things the Mets are watching.
Well, the issue, I mean, obviously Reyes is your everyday shortstop, and Jose obviously has much more range than Anderson and a much stronger arm.
Yes.
Right, but if you want to be the backup infielder on a championship caliber team, you have to be able to go in there and play for 2 weeks if the starting shortstop gets hurt. And those are the kinds of things they're looking at.
And be able to play more than one position if you're going to be a backup infielder.
2-0 to Garrett Anderson. Off the end of the bat. Another play for Anderson Hernandez. Castillo didn't cover, and safe at first is Garrett Anderson. Not the first time we've seen that happen this year. Castillo never moved to cover second, which is where Hernandez looked first. And by the time he readjusted and threw to first base, it was too late to get Garrett Anderson.
Well, you know what they say when you assume. And Anderson's doing the right thing here, the force out. And give it credit to Garrett Anderson. He hustled down the line, and the spotlight's on Louis right there. It's not a good play.
And again, it's not the first time we've seen Louis do that this year, and that makes it even less excusable. 6 hits in the inning now. A gift for Garrett Anderson, and now Chipper Jones, the 9th man up. It's 4-0 Atlanta.
Wow.
1-1 to Chipper. Infante and Anderson, the base runners. Bobby Parnell should have been through this inning. But now Chipper with a chance to break the game completely open in the second inning.
Well, on a night where we're celebrating Gil Hodges is going to have his lovely family in the booth. I wonder if Mr. Hodges would have a place on the pine after a play like that.
Ooh, good fastball.
2-2 to Chipper Jones.
Well, Chipper let it air out here. And this is just power against power, Ronnie. And he was going for the downs. That was right down the middle.
Three and two now to Chipper, and so now the runners will be in motion.
Kind of the same kind of inning here for Mr. Parnell that Mr. Lowe had last night, right? Lots of pitches, making some good pitches and plays aren't made. Stringing hits in a row, the Atlanta Braves offense. Difficult time for Parnell.
That's how games are lost. Runners go 3-2. And he walked him, and the inning continues. And the bases will be loaded for Brian McCann, who got this whole inning started. First walk given up by Parnell.
And McCann's going to be a tough mark, because McCann is more of a line drive hitter. Chipper is the power hitter, but McCann can put the ball and sprays the ball all over the field, gap to gap. He is more of a line drive hitter, a tough out.
McCann hit one between Tatis and the third base bag for a base hit, leading off the inning. LaRoche and Escobar followed with base hits to fill the bases. Matt Diaz singled in 2 runs. With 2 out, Infante reached on an infield hit. And then Garrett Anderson did the same. Nelson Figueroa up in the bullpen as Parnell tries to put the brakes on this second inning. Bases loaded, 2 down. And a strike on the inside corner, 0-1.
"36 pitches so far in these first 2 innings. Strike to ball ratio is good. Placement not so good.
Good pitch.
Well, in this inning, there have really been 2 balls hit hard. LaRoche's hit and Diaz's hit. McCann's was a trickler. Escobar's a broken bat, and then the 2 infield hits. Good stop by Santos to save a run, 1-2.
Mr. Santos continues to work and work and work behind that plate. I bet you he's had the greatest year matriculating under Mr. Sandy Alomar Jr. out there in the bullpen for the Mets.
Can't learn from much better. One and 2 to McCann.
Oh boy.
And Santos can't grab this one, but it comes right back to him. The dive, and he's safe at the plate. Infante is in to score, and it's 5-0. Well, we've talked all year about how close it is from home plate to the backstop, and there would have been an out if Parnell had been a little quicker to cover the plate.
Well, this ball comes directly back on the carom, and then Santos realizes he can't get there. Good jump. Parnell covering, but too good a jump from Infante.
Nice read, but Parnell has to be there earlier.
I mean, as soon as that ball gets by Santos, Parnell has to break, right?
I think just, it was a combination of that, but I do have to agree with Keith. What a read by him.
It's all the key is once it's there and you make up your mind, you don't hesitate, you just go. And that's the difference, always the difference.
Now in danger of a base hit. This game getting ugly early.
Yes. Well, it's already 5-0. A 3-2 count now to McCann with 2 in scoring position. And Adam LaRoche, a hot hitter on deck. Everything has gone wrong for Parnell here in the second. And McCann fouls one off. Again, the 3-2. Oh, late swing foul.
I'll tell you, maybe Keith, you can enlighten us here. When you would hear people come back to the bench after facing Bobby Parnell here in this inning, I always thought you'd hear one thing, and he's late on his fastball, McCann. He'd say, hey guys, everything's hard. There's nothing off speed. Everything's hard.
Make him get his breaking ball up, make him get his fastball down. Oh, good cut. He's bringing it. I mean, there's no question about his arm. How many pitches this inning, Garrett?
Too many. 30.
You know, the whole thing is you want to throw strikes, which he's done. I think you want to work quick, which I think he's done. But you have to change speeds, and you have to do all 3. Not 2 out of 3, not 1 out of 3. All 3 to get through these major league lineups.
Ninth pitch of the at-bat to McCann. And he rockets one to deep right center field. Francoeur looking up, and McCann has a 3-run homer, and the Braves, a night after the Mets put together an 8-run inning, have an 8-run inning of their own. 14th home run of the year for McCann. A nightmare for Bobby Parnell.
Well, this inning should have been over a long time ago in defense of Mr. Parnell.
Luis Castillo failing to cover on what should have been a routine inning-ending force play. And the Braves have parlayed that into 4 extra runs.
Well, fouled off some fastballs, and then he gets one out over the plate, Ronnie Belt high, and boy, did he launch that one.
I'll never let Francoeur forget that Jeff had to watch that one. And Jerry Manuel giving Parnell one more batter. 1-1 to LaRoche.
He's trying to come inside, but you got to catch some of the plate when it's 3-2, and he caught too much, and that's up in Adam Dunn land.
On the Bridge Terrace seating. 2-1 to LaRoche. Here's your IOTV pitch differential.
Well, there you go. Supposed to be down and in, and that's right down the outer half, probably more in the middle than the outer half, and up.
Popped up. Castillo retreating. Hernandez calling, but now Castillo calling as well, and they finally get everything together. But 11 men came to bat. It's the last time you saw teams trade 8-run innings in back-to-back games. Anderson Hernandez unable to get the final out against Infante. Thought he had a play against Anderson, but Castillo was nowhere to be found. A wild pitch brings home a run as well. 8-0 Atlanta. Well, teams have traded nightmarish innings in the last 2 days.
You said it. Very unusual. 8 has been the number in this series so far.
Daniel Murphy leads off for the Mets in the home second inning.
Yep. Murph hitting over 300 in the month of August.
Murphy's hit in 4 straight games. And he takes a strike from Jurgens, who all of a sudden finds himself in paradise. Jurgens already has an 11-0 win against the Mets this year. And now he's got an 8-0 lead. Here's my question. How has Jurgens only won 9 games?
Really?
Well, like I tried to explain before, no decisions he's had this year. His ERA is 3 or less. His big 4-game loser streak this year, they scored 5 runs. I mean, this is a class young pitcher.
Murphy chops one out to Chipper Jones. 1 out. Ronnie's inside pitch on Jair Jurgens, part of the business of baseball, brought to you by Xerox, ready for real business.
Well, we always talk about a pitcher when he's 23 years old working on his secondary pitches. Well, this young man has 4 pitches already. No long ball, very rarely gives up the home run. 188 innings last year, only 11 long balls, and I think he's one of the best kept secrets of young pitchers around baseball. You hear about Cueto, you hear about Volquez. Well, this might be the best in the National League last couple of seasons with Josh Johnson.
Jeff Francoeur had a big night last night, 3 for 5, couple of doubles against his old team. And a good breaking ball by Jurgens, 1-1. Francoeur now hitting .305 as a Met in 34 games. Gets under one to left field, and Garrett Anderson drifting. 2 out.
For you fans at home who don't have a chance to see it, Mets, of course, they're struggling. Francoeur, every day we see him, he looks like the team's 25 games over 500. He just has a lightness to his step, happy to be at the ballpark.
He's acclimated really quite well here.
He has, hasn't he?
Yes, he has.
Here's Fernando Tatis. And, when you have a dearth of everyday players, which the Mets have, and the guys they've counted on all year are not around, it creates a vacuum, not just on the field, but in the clubhouse as well. And in many ways, with the Mets' star players having not been around for the most part, I think the team has taken on a little more of Francoeur's personality.
Well, I think when he first got here, he didn't have any problem trying to race out to the field with David Wright, who always was traditionally the guy who ran out there first with Jose when Jose was playing. And now Francoeur's been leading them out, which is a very strange thing for a man who's been here a month.
One hopper to short, and Escobar guns down Tatis. A very easy inning for Jair Jurgens after being handed an 8-run lead. Carnell will go back to the mound. August 26th on the larger-than-life screen at the Ziegfeld Theater in Midtown Manhattan. Join Mr. Met and fellow Met fans for SNY's live broadcast when the Mets face the Marlins at 7:10 p.m. Get your tickets at Mets.com/movies today.
Red Sky.
Red Sky at night, Seller's delight. Well, Bobby Parnell still out there after yielding 8 runs in the second inning. Not all his fault, but all earned against his record. Janelle Escobar had a broken bat hit in that big inning, and he socks one down to third where Tatis is there to throw him out. Well, it's not been a happy night so far for the Mets, but it's a happy day in other respects because today is August 19th, which means it is Ronnie's birthday.
That's right. There's no birthdays during the baseball season, are there? Well, I guess so. That's Maureen, of course, who does such a nice job in our cafeteria. And she had the guys and everyone bake me a cake, which is about the sweetest thing I've ever seen. So thank you, Maureen, and the people back there. 49 candles tonight. So next year will be the big one. The big one.
Keith, were you at all interested in the fact that it's Ronnie's birthday?
I was actually texting Charlie about my wife coming on the road trip and that she was an early check-in on Miami and Chicago. So I had other things on my mind. Happy birthday, Ron.
Thanks, buddy.
Now, I'm sure you know you're not the only baseball player with August 19th as a birthday. Gary Gaetti was born the same day. But there are also a lot of famous people who were born more famous than you even.
We have a president.
Bill Clinton.
Yes.
Celebrating a birthday, 63. Malcolm Forbes would have been 90 today.
Wow.
To the right side, and Murphy feeds to Parnell to retire Diaz. And Orville Wright would have been 138 today.
Flying high. You know, Malcolm Forbes used to always have those unbelievable birthday parties for himself in Marrakesh, and that, he was an amazing man, I'll tell you that. Lived life to the fullest.
Ryan Church coming up. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt.
Happy birthday to you, Ronnie, by the way.
Thanks, Kev.
Good stuff, man. Just want to talk to you about Ryan Church. You know, a neat little perk about him playing with the Braves. His idol growing up was Chipper Jones. I know that kind of sounds weird, but it was. He used to emulate his stance, actually, from the left-handed side. And I asked him the best part about playing with him now. He said, you know what, just seeing how much he works at everything. And isn't that usually the way with all the great players, is that they work constantly. He said he leads by example. I love the way he prepares for games, and he's taught me some of that already. He said, but, you know, he still does try to be a part of the younger guys, and when he does that, I have to call him Gramps and put him back in his place. But I told him, you know, Ryan, Gramps can still hit a little bit. Back to you guys.
And Church gets his first hit of the series. A 2-out single. And so Ryan's aboard, and Jurgens will come up. 8 hits now for the Braves against Bobby Parnell. Interesting that Parnell's out there. Not too many young pitchers get to stay in a game in which they've given up 8 runs this early.
Well, you got a team that's going nowhere. You're going to see what your kids can do, and this is where you can go out there and you can see what they got. Can they gather themselves, collect themselves after a bad inning, and work your way through it like that Davey did with you that one time?
Yeah.
That was one of the greatest stories you ever told, Ron, on that one.
And plus, he's at 56, 57 pitches. He needs work, and they're trying to get him to a point where he's going to be in 100-plus pitch per game, and they can only do that if they let him get some work. Might hurt his ERA. It's already been hurt already today. But this is where you learn. You know, it's easy when everything's going great in the major leagues, and you think you're the cat's meow. I like to see the guys when they're behind the 8 ball how they react, and that'll be interesting to see if Bobby comes back from this, throws himself a couple of shutout innings, and can move forward from that.
Well, Bobby knows about adversity. He was hit very hard in college. I don't know if you remember. We talked about his stats down at Charleston Southern in South Carolina. He had an ERA over 6 as a junior and over 8 as a senior, and yet the Mets saw potential in him and drafted him. And look at what he's become.
You're looking at the arm. You know, he's got a great arm. And for all you folks who don't know the story about Ron, is that Ron early in his career was getting his I guess it's whatever kicks.
Yeah, you can say it.
Davey came out, and Ronnie thought he was going to get pulled, and Davey came out and said, "Hey, I'm not going to kill my bullpen, son. You're going to have to find a way out of this inning."
He did.
And that's a great lesson.
3-1 to Jurgens, and he walks the pitcher. Second walk given up by Parnell.
Well, this is a fascinating stat because you can see the percentage of fastballs and other pitches that Bobby Parnell throws. Primarily, what, 80%, 85% fastballs. And when you do that, it's very difficult to be successful against major league hitters. And you go, well, he throws 95, 96 miles an hour. It doesn't matter for these guys. They just are so talented and so good that they're able to tweak their swing up a notch or down a notch, especially if you're throwing the same speed all the time. You know, there's a first pitch slider, unbelievable break in it. But that's a pitch you want to use 1-2, not the first pitch of an at-bat. You want that to be more in the center of the plate. Listen, this young man, this is his third start. This is an experiment to see if he can do this. Does he have the ability? Does he have the poise to do it? Of course. But these are the places that a manager like Jerry Manuel is going to watch. He's watching him right now. He's walking behind the mound. He looks frustrated, picks up the rosin bag, slams it on the ground. All those little things register for Jerry when he will have his discussion with him.
Well, as a hitter right now, 2-0, you are just locked in.
And Infante lines it past Tatis and down the left field line. That'll bring home Church. Jurgens goes to third, and in at second is Omar Infante, his second hit and second RBI of the night to make it 9-0 Atlanta.
Well, I just was going to say, as a hitter, you're locked in on a, before I could say fastball, he hit it. And, you know, he's got to come in with a strike 2-0. He's having a tough time with the strike zone. You stay very disciplined as a hitter and look for a ball, fastball, go up the middle. In that case, he turned on a fastball, inner half, up. Got the pitcher on the ropes. Take advantage of it.
Now Garrett Anderson, who got a gift hit and gift RBI in the second inning on a routine grounder to short. Well, there's your AT&T high-speed pitch. Parnell has topped that at 97 and Jurgens at 92.
Well, let me tell you one thing about 92, folks. 92 is plenty.
Nelson Figueroa, who was up in the second inning, up again here in the third. Braves already 6 for 7 with runners in scoring position tonight.
I love some of these guys that are around the league now that with all this radar guns. Oh, he only throws 92. never been up there on the plate. I go, 92 is plenty. You get up there and check it out.
And there's the changeup from Parnell, and that's nice to see.
You can see the grip. That's more of the split finger that he worked with J.J. Putz. Now see, that ball's right down the middle. We've seen fastballs down the middle that have been tattooed at 95, but he pulled the string. Garrett Anderson out in front, the art of pitching.
I guess my question is, he's in his third start now. At what point does Dan Wartha start to mandate, hey, you've got to throw more sliders, more changeups?
Yeah, I think it's hard because, you know, coming out of the bullpen, you know, he has that kind of mindset. He's got to change that way of thinking. And how do you do that? You do that by having a game plan and saying to yourself that, you know, every slider we watch him throw, that's like a 0-2 slider where you're trying to bounce it and get a strikeout. Sometimes you want to be about 85% of your maximum effort instead of just moaning and groaning and throwing as hard as you can. It's you know, Bob Apodaca taught me the phrase. It's called caveman baseball. Get ball, throw ball hard. Never works in this league.
Is some of that on the catcher, though, to call more breaking pitches?
I think it's hard because Omir Santos is really in his first full season, and I think that you know, he's just really trying to survive back there because Bobby is not hitting his spots. So it's hard to put together a game plan when you have a pitcher out there that can't execute a game plan yet.
And when you're a pitcher, do you see that the manager's on the top step ready to come get you?
You sense it. You don't have to look over there. You can sense it.
I mean, I don't think I've ever seen Jerry in that position before. That's a Bobby Valentine spot. 3-2 to Anderson. Bounce down to Murphy. And he'll take it himself to end the inning. 1 run for the Braves. As Parnell having his troubles. But you see, there is happiness in the world.
Where's my piece?
Happy birthday, Ron.
Can I have a slice?
New York sports with the Daily News writers behind the hottest stories. And Friday, don't miss 69 Mets star Ron Swoboda as he swings by the studio to join the debate on Daily News Live, presented by Citi every weekday at 5, only on SNY. That may be the hardest promo I've ever read.
Especially with that cake in your mouth. It was wonderful. You're good.
Exactly what I meant. That was great cake.
Yes, it was.
Young Mr. Parnell, I've been there. It's a real strange feeling to be over there. Very alone feeling as Danny Wortham trying to help out.
As a pitcher, Ronnie, when you've had a day like that, do you want your pitcher coach coming over and talking to you?
You know
what? Even though it was Mel?
Yeah, Mel would leave you alone in that way because he just didn't want to get involved in that. Just let you kind of stew on your own.
Should we send him a piece of cake?
I don't think he... Yeah, I'll tell you where he'll take that cake, too. Throw it up against the wall.
You can't take it out on the cake. Eat it.
I think it would feel better. It was really good. Omir Santos leading off in the home third inning. Santos 2 for 4 last night, drove in a run.
But you know what you do if you're the pitching coach, Gary and Keith? You just go over there to your young guy and you say, listen, you don't hang that head. You keep your head up. You are going to be some kind of starter in this league someday. This is going to be one of those lessons.
Santos begins the comeback with a solid hit to left center. Cut off nicely by Ryan Church, holding Santos to a leadoff single.
Well, nice hitting by Santos here. Fastball. Oh, had right down the middle. But, you know, you got to hit it. Stays back nicely.
He's one of the top 3 nicest stories for the Mets this season.
Ron, I have a question for you. When your team early in the game gets you a big lead like this, what do you got to watch out for? You like that, making a fat pitch right there?
I used to always tell myself 2 things. 1, don't forget to pitch. Don't forget to keep pitching. And what does that mean? A lot of times you get a big lead like that, you say to yourself, you know what, I'm just going to throw fastballs and get through this inning. But it doesn't work that way. Don't forget to keep pitching means change speeds, and try to hit both sides of the plate. And the other thing is no walks. Do not walk anybody. You don't walk anybody in this situation. Very difficult for any team to put together enough hits to get in double digits to overtake you.
You don't get 10-hit innings very often.
Well, every once in a while.
Well, I'll say this.
Every 47 years.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, last night we saw something that we've never, ever seen before. The Mets have 10 hits in an inning. Maybe tonight we'll see something else we've never seen before. The Mets have never come from 9 runs down to win in their entire history.
8?
8 is the most.
Wow.
Did you see this day in history with the Mets in '69, the game they played on this night? Here at Shea.
Softly hit. Escobar at the bag and turns the double play. 2 out and nobody on.
Mets won 1-0 in 14 innings, Ronnie, against the Giants. Agee hit a home run his 21st with 1 out in the 14th to beat Juan Marichal. Juan Marichal went 13 1/3, struck out 13 batters, gave up, I think, 4 hits and loses.
Now, Keith, that'll cost you 20. He said here at Shea.
Oh! Well,
actually, the 20 collection is suspended until we can find the culprit. Wilson Valdez pinch hitting for the Mets. Well, there's the lineup for the Mets that day, August 19th, 1969. Bobby File, Cleon Jones, Shamsky, Garrett.
Look at Marichal. Jeez.
And 13 1/3. Walk-off home run by Tommy Agee.
Gentry went, I believe, Chuck McGraw got the win, went 4 innings of shutout ball relief.
Wow.
So that means that Gentry
pitched 9.
Yeah.
Yes.
He pitched 10 and hung the last 4. Valdez has himself a base hit. Barehanded by Church out there. And so Wilson Valdez was red hot at Buffalo when the Mets recalled him. Keeps that going with a 2-out pinch single.
Change up. You see that circle grip?
Right down the pipe. There's the difference. Nice hit by Valdez.
Al Jackson used to always tell me, if you are facing great hitters, real solid hitters, the changeup is a great pitch. If you're facing hitters who are more in the 240, 250, 260 kind of range, do not use the changeup.
Agreed.
The theory being that they can't hit the fastball?
The theory is that the changeup is more into their bat speed for a hitter that is not a 300 hitter.
That's good advice.
1-0 to Pagan, who fouled out to third base his first time up. So Bobby Parnell's night is done after 71 pitches over 3 innings. He gave up 9 runs and 9 hits. A couple of walks, 1 strikeout.
Tough day at the office.
So 3 starts for Parnell, 1 short, 1 great, and 1 not good at all. And again, it should not have been 9 runs bad, but it still wasn't very good. Ball 4 and Pagan is on.
Save $3 tomorrow. No chance of buying any papers. Do not want to see the box score.
Let's check out our Outback trivia question for tonight. 1962, May the 30th, Gil Hodges participated in the Mets' first triple play. Who were the shortstop and second baseman who also took part in that first ever triple play?
Wow.
I think I know the shortstop. And I think I know the second baseman. There's the strike to Luis Castillo. Bobby Cox shed his hat when Jurgens walked Pagan.
Well, exactly what Ronnie just told us a while ago.
There's a strike to Castillo, who had a base hit to left field in the first inning, bouncing one over Chipper Jones's head.
What's that whole story, old story with Billy Martin and Art Fowler when he had to go see a pitcher who wasn't pitching very well? He said, I don't know what you're doing out here, but you're really making Billy angry. So you should stop it. A little stronger language, but
no doubt. Art from Spartanburg, South Carolina.
There you go.
1-2 to Castillo. And 3-2. So Jurgens having trouble putting this inning to bed. He had 2 out and nobody on. Valdez a pinch hit single, a 4-pitch walk to Pagan, and now he's gone 3-2 to Castillo. And Bobby found his hat.
Veteran headache number 2002 for the lengthy career of Mr. Cox.
Can't be that bad. He's up 9-0. Runners go, and Castillo lines one over short for a base hit. That'll bring home Valdez with the first Met run of the night. So Castillo trying to make up for his blunder in the field. Drives in the Mets' first run of the game.
Well, Ronnie said it, the walks are the ones that kill. This 2-out rally here. Got to come in, Ron, 9-0.
Right down the middle, easily for Castillo, who strokes that single to center field.
Well, Louis likes that ball away. And now you got a potential. Sheffield's going to try to get something middle in to hit out of here and see if they can make this a 8-4 ball game.
Once that ball down and away, when it's down and away, you'll have Louis hit the ball on the ground. It gives you a shot. Ball up, he's able to hit that line drive.
Sheffield struck out his first time, and Jurgens starts him off with a nasty slider.
Good pitch. Smart pitch, Ronnie. Don't want to hang it.
When I see Sheffield swing like that, it reminds me that probably guessing first pitch fastball, trying to go big early.
Selling out.
Yes. What's great about Sheffield, though, is that he'll swing at that first pitch slider, miss it badly, and then he's so good that later, if the pitcher gets ahead, he might look for that slider and go the other way.
Plays off that one as McCann stops it. 2-1. That's trying to make a dent here in the third, down 9-1. If you're ever going to come back from a huge deficit, this is the kind of game where you can, because you have a lot of time to do it. Ripped toward the left field corner. Foul ball.
He just got it in enough. Got in on the hands of Sheff, and that ball just got on the hands. Oh boy,
just missed.
I thought he was too quick on this, Keith.
Let's see.
Two-seamer in.
I got in on a little bit, don't you think? Oh boy, he's got under a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck happened there. I thought he was right on that ball. Well, he short hopped the wall.
Yeah.
And it was about 6 inches foul. So that miss of the chalk saves 2 runs for Jurgens. And now he bounces another slider, and it's 3-2.
That was a changeup here, and not a good selection. I don't think. That's his third pitch, Ronnie.
Gary, Keith, Roger, and Bobby Cox getting angrier and angrier as they go.
Not angry. Keith, you angry?
No.
I'm saying Roger and Bobby are angry.
Runners go, and Sheffield pops one up and foul grounded out of play.
You guys are so even-tempered.
Oh, yeah. Jurgens making it very tough on himself here.
I've only been angry once so far tonight.
Yes.
3-2. Popped it up. That should end the inning as Infante settles under, and the Mets settle for only 1 run. 3 hits and a walk. 9-1 Atlanta. We'll be back, but first here's Matt Cerrone from MetsBlank.com at the Verizon studio for a quick update on what the fans are thinking. The latest news on all things New York sports on Geico Sports Night tonight after the post game and at 1 a.m. right here on SNY. Changes for the Mets as we go to the fourth. Anderson Hernandez moves from shortstop to second base. Wilson Valdez, who pinch hit, stays in the game at short. Nelson Figueroa comes on to pitch. He'll hit in the 2-hole as Luis Castillo comes out of the game.
Nelson pitched a couple days ago against the San Francisco Giants. Gave up a run and an inning of work and 3 hits. You see his numbers there for the Mets in his short time.
Well, Castillo out of the game in a double switch. I don't know if this had anything to do with Jerry's decision to take him out, but this certainly cost the Mets in the 8-run second inning.
Well, the inning should have been over, and that's just lazy, putting it mildly.
Chipper Jones, first pitch swinging. Murphy handles it. 1 pitch for Figueroa and 1 retired. And now Brian McCann is already having himself a big night. An opposite field single to start the 8-run second, and then later in that inning, a 3-run homer. Into the Bridge Terrace seating in right center. So you learn something every week. And this week we learned Bridge Terrace seating.
On the weekends, so you have the Bridge and Tunnel crowd in the Bridge and Terrace section.
You learned that phrase in the Roaring '80s, didn't you?
That's in the Roaring '80s, exactly.
1-2 now to Brian McCann. As a proud native of Queens,
That's right.
I'll take that as it's intended.
That's right. You can put your dukes up.
To the right side where Anderson Hernandez is there to play it. And quickly Figueroa has 2 outs. Anderson looks a lot more comfortable at second base, doesn't he?
He does. He does. I think his arm is perfect for second base. He's just very quick on the turn. You know, not everybody can. Everybody thinks because you can play second base, you can play all around the infield. It doesn't always work like that.
Well, let me ask you this. If you can play shortstop, does that mean you can play all around the infield?
No, because I've seen shortstops have to move to third late in their career, and they struggle over there.
Adam LaRoche 1 for 2. Singleton scored in the second. And the curveball in for a strike from Figueroa. I've decided that Adam LaRoche's Boston career does not resemble your Montreal career as much as it resembles Mike Piazza's Florida Marlins career.
There you go. Mike went to Florida and then to the Mets after that.
Right. Mike spent 5 games as a Marlin. LaRoche spent 6 with the Red Sox. That pretty much matches up.
Yeah, more symmetry there.
It's a week either way. 2-2 now to LaRoche.
I would think that's one of the hardest things to do as an everyday player. If you're brought into a team that is struggling with power and your sole responsibility is to come in and hit home runs.
It's hard to do that every day. Hernandez throws out LaRoche, so a sparkling 1-2-3 inning for Figueroa on 3 ground balls. Mets come up in the bottom of the 4th, trailing 9-1. moisture from last night's monsoon.
Did you get stuck in the rain going home, or did you?
No, once I got over the bridge, there was no rain.
Well, go ahead with the Aflac.
Oh, we're going to answer the trivia question. Gil Hodges participating in the Mets' first triple play. The shortstop and second baseman. Well, come on, had to be Felix Mantilla and Elio Chacon.
There you go.
You got it.
Nice. Daniel Murphy, first pitch swinging, flies one out to left. Garrett Anderson has it. One pitch for Jair Jurgens on the first out of the fourth.
I thought I had a chance last night, Gary, to get ahead of it driving out, east, and I drove through rain. I mean, heavy rain through exit 50.
Really?
That's when I finally got ahead of it.
Well, the timing was exquisite last night.
Yeah.
The game ended, and about 20 seconds later, it was like Kansas and Dorothy scrambling for the storm shelter. Frank Cortex is striking. You see the pictures of the damage in Central Park?
Yes, the trees came down. They're all strewn all over the tennis courts.
Uprooted.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I'm gonna look at the papers today.
Frank Corr flies one down the right field side. Foul. And it's 0-2. Well, next inning, we're going to have two very special guests with us as we count down toward the Saturday night celebration of the 1969 Miracle Mets. Gil Hodges' widow, Joan Hodges, and his son, Gil Hodges Jr., will be joining us in the booth to talk over some of their memories from 1969. This week progresses, as Frank Corr strikes out, we will have a number of very special guests to commemorate the 40th anniversary of one of the great sports miracles of all time.
You were here. What was it like?
Well, I was 11 years old. It was miraculous. I mean, I was here for actually at Shea for the clincher against the Braves in the LCS.
What was the first year, Gary, that you really? How old were you? What year when you became a Met fan? You're old enough.
64, I had some awareness.
Yeah.
It was 65. I was really in it all the way. Watching Dennis Rybandt pitch. Joe Christopher play right field.
Well, the '86 team had their 1984, which for a lot of Mets fans was one of the coolest years. What was the 1984 for the '69 team?
There was none.
There was none.
That's the thing. It came out of nowhere. The Mets had never finished higher than 9th. I mean, they won. I think it was 73 games in '68, which is the most they'd ever won. But they finished 9th out of 10 teams in the National League. So there was really no warning. Now, 68 was Gil's first year as manager, and we'll talk about that with Joan and Gil Jr. There were the makings of a decent team because you had Seaver, who came up in '67, and then Koosman, who came up in '68, and of course they laid the foundation for that great pitching staff. 2-out single for Tatis. But in terms of winning a pennant?
No, that wasn't on the radar.
Having a winning record? I mean, from a fan's perspective, maybe the players felt differently. You hear stories about Jerry Grody saying in spring training, we can win it, and the players like Seaver trying to change the culture. But as fans, you never thought they were ever going to win. You know what the funny thing was back then? You didn't care.
Yeah.
Not nearly as much as people care now that winning and losing is the be-all, end-all.
You had been weaned on other kinds of records.
It was the fun of going to the ball game.
Yeah.
More so than expecting to win a pennant.
And you had the National League. You went how many years without the National League?
Grounded toward the hole. Nice stop by Chipper Jones. And gets up and throws out Santos to end the inning. Well, there's the team photo from 1969. Gil Hodges front and center, sitting right between Jerry Grody and Ed Charles. And we will talk with the Hodges family when we come back. It's so nice of you guys to come and join us and help us kick off this 1969 celebration.
Thank you. So nice to be here.
It's a pleasure.
Joan, 1969 was the second year that Gil was here as the manager of the Mets, and you know, so many people, we were just talking about it before we went to break the last inning, about how for fans 1969 and the championship came out of nowhere. For Gil, for the players, for you talking to Gil, did it come out of nowhere, or was that something that he foresaw happening, that the Mets could get that good that fast?
No, I don't think it was something he could foresee truly. But Gil was just that type of an individual. The boys weren't really his team. They were his children. He was the father, and they were his children. And if they were his children, they were going to act and
Escobar with a base hit to lead off the inning.
But that's all right. That's all right.
As things developed in 1969, was there a time when it all started to come together, when you realized that something special was happening, or was it right at the beginning of the season? Because we've heard expressed in the past that some of the players in spring training were talking about how they knew that this was a team that finally could win.
Well, I think, Gil could add a little something to that. He spent time with them in spring training and worked out with them and played some minor league ball.
I was very lucky. It was the entire summer I traveled with the ball club.
How old were you that summer?
I was 19, and my dad had gotten permission for me to put on a uniform and work out and take batting practice, sit on the bench during the game. Got to know the players on a pretty good basis. But it was a scenario where the players just were enjoying themselves and having fun, and there were no real superstars on the team, at least not yet. They hadn't blossomed and their careers hadn't grown. But they enjoyed what they were doing. And the summer turned into September, and the rest became history.
We hear all the time about Gil's stoicism and his strength, and that he was a man of very few words. Was he the same with his family as he was with the ball players?
There wasn't a lot of conversations as far as anything that you would do wrong. If you did something wrong, it wasn't a democracy. You didn't get to voice your opinion. You were either told what you did wrong and tried to explain your way out of it, which usually didn't work, and just accepted your punishment. But it was very fair. I mean, myself and my three sisters, we really were very fortunate.
Ryan Church hits one to deep right center, and that'll hop up against the wall. Escobar comes in to score to make it 10-1 Atlanta.
Hey guys, the Braves are working on their running today. I don't know if you knew that. Joe, what I always wanted to ask you is your father. Now you got to travel with the team, and here he is, the father of all these his children he felt on the team. What was he like as a coach, coaching you, trying to play the game?
Well, subtle little things. The main thing was always running hard, always playing hard. The things that, the natural things that and Keith knows that either you can do or you can't do, can't be coached. But the hustle and the running, and no matter what the score is, you always play hard. Those are the things he tried to instill in me.
Which is interesting because, you hear a lot about how it's difficult for a great player to be a great manager. And Gil, your father obviously was a great player in his playing days.
I don't think that has that concept, really. Believe me. I mean, Walter Alston, I don't think maybe got up one time and turned out to be a pretty good manager. Tommy Lasorda didn't have that great a career, but turned out to be a pretty good manager. And my dad, being a fantastic baseball player, also turned out to be a pretty good manager. And I think the criteria is based on if you can make this separation. If you believe in what you do and you instill that in the people who are your players, then everything works out fine.
I also, if I may add to that, please, I think it's very important, the man himself. You know, when Gil was asked to come back to New York, I lived here all my life. I was very, very happy. And he was a little, and I said, honey, I would think you would be so excited. We're going home. And he said, I know. He said, but I don't want to disappoint fans. That's very, very important. And you have to understand, when Gil came here, they weren't known as the amazing. They were known as the clowns of baseball. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful in any way, but it's a fact. It's the truth. And they knew from that first spring training that it was going to be a lot different. Spring training was going to be spring training, and that's the way it was going to be all year.
Now, what I've heard from a lot of the players was that in 1968, Gil's first year coming back after he came from Washington, he did a lot of observing and really waited almost that entire 68 season before he, in 1969, started to really instill the ethic that was going to make them a champion.
I think he always believed in a longer-term goal. And I think what he felt was in 68 to get the knowledge of who his players were and their abilities, and then go from there. Go to your strengths and go to your weaknesses going forward in 69. And it turned out well. I mean, you know, Rube Walker, God bless him, created a fabulous pitching staff. You look back and you have Tom Seaver and Nolan Ryan and Jerry Koosman and the lefty out of the bullpen.
Tug McGraw.
Not too bad.
Ron Taylor. I mean,
not too bad.
The list goes on and on. They had great pitching. And Gil was an everyday player. What was his relationship like with those pitchers?
He had a good relationship. He more or less let Rube Walker run them, and of course everything came back through him because that was the final say. But Rube was there for the day-to-day with the pitchers, and the installation.
Infante with a base hit, and that'll bring home another run for the Braves to make it 11-1.
The installation of working hard and trying your best all the time really was passed down from my dad to all the players.
Well, the other thing that they did with the pitching, which really had not been done much before, most teams had gone with a 4-man rotation, and Rube was one of the first, along with your dad, to install a 5-man rotation.
Yes. And I think it worked out well. It took some time. He also had some shifts on some of the players. I remember McCovey, everybody playing, and I used to say to him, you know, all he has to do is bunt down third base and he'll get a base hit every time. And he felt that was great. If he was willing to do that, it was no problem. It's very tough to hit a home run when you bunt.
A question for the both of you in the 69 season. Was there any particular game in that course of that season that you felt when you said we've got a chance? And for you with the team, who was your favorite player? Who was the guy that really took you kind of under his wing and treated you good?
They all treated me good, and I'm not saying that just to be saying it. I can remember Don Clendenin sitting by his locker, and at least 2 or 3 times I would come by him, and he would say to me, "You're not a man until you challenge your father. And you're not a man until you challenge your father." And one day he said that to me, and Rube Walker was behind me, and Rube just leaned in and said, "Why don't you go challenge him?" And he turned around, faced his locker, and never brought the subject up again. So we kind of had that good camaraderie with all the guys.
When the Black Cat walked in front of the dugout, when those things started to happen, when Swoboda makes the catch in the World Series, did you feel the magic? Because that's what the fans felt. Fans felt like it was a magical year. Is that what it felt from the inside?
Yes. Yes, I mean, you have to be honest, and you could tell when things are going. You can almost know that what's going to happen. But I got to tell you a quick little story happening with the children, having 4 children and going through little things. And I said to him at home, I had a little problem with one of them, and I said, honey, you're not even paying attention to me. I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get AstroTurf and have it put in the house as carpeting and get uniforms and let the children wear uniforms. So maybe, and he said, I said, you have to understand that your team, they're not your children, honey. These men are grown men and they have their own character. And he said to me, no, honey, you don't understand. Once they put on that uniform and walk out on that field, they are my children. And he meant that. He meant that. And they grew to love him like he was their father and respect him.
Well, it was great to have you guys here.
Thank you.
Joan Hodges, Gil Hodges Jr. Great to share memories.
Good seeing you, buddy.
Gil was such an important part of the development of this franchise, and of course the manager of the Miracle Mets of 1969. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
The one that was, I found that fascinating because, you know, you go back in history, we're talking about 40 years ago that the 69 Mets won the World Series, and to think of, you know, Gil Hodges Jr. as a teenager in that clubhouse, and you know, Gil was the manager, but these guys, they lived it with him, and to hear some of the thoughts and some of the stories and some of the observations, I found that very enlightening.
Well, I think what was great about that interview is that, you know, you're a baseball fan, and I was when I was young. You think of me growing up with Willie Mays and Marichal, and Herman Franks was the manager, and that they don't have their normal lives. I thought it was a great insight into their family life. You know, Gil Hodges had his 4 kids at home, raising 4 kids. A mom home with the 4 kids, and there's life after baseball.
Anderson Hernandez socks one to deep right center. Well, there's a quote from Jerry Koosman about Gil Hodges. Always took time to talk to you, good sense of humor. And if he's distanced, it's because he never wanted to embarrass himself or the team. Wouldn't trade him for 2 other managers.
Well, that says volumes.
That is Reed Gorecki, a Long Island native who's making his major league debut. Just called up yesterday and playing left field.
Heart rate a little high over here in the left field. Fantastic.
I think so.
Great for him.
Wilson Valdez up for the second time, and a pinch hit single, and scored the Mets' only run in the 3rd.
Well, it's pretty apparent how those Met players felt about Gil. Tom Seaver always gushes over Gil, talks about Gil with reverence and an enormous respect.
And Valdez takes one the other way foul. And Tom will be with us tomorrow to reminisce about 1969.
I hope Tom brought a couple of bottles of his new vintage, the GTS.
Now I want you guys to promise me tomorrow as little wine talk as possible. Fans want to hear about 1969.
That's right.
Not 2007 vintage.
Yeah, no Cabernets, no.
Don't get Tom started. That's his passion.
1-2 to Valdez, but
It's interesting for a franchise that has had 2 championships. One we were involved in. The team was supposed to win, but this is a team that was, amazing is the word that was used, but out of nowhere, just something that makes you put your hand on your head and say anything's possible.
Well, a team that was clearly greater than the sum of its parts. I mean, they had dominant pitching, no question. Seaver, Kuzman, Gentry, Ryan, the list goes on and on. That one goes right over the shoulder of Chipper Jones, and Valdez is aboard. So the Mets have a 1-out base run.
Well, Chipper didn't have to come in and take this in between hop. He could have played back for the long hop. Never want to play the in-between hop, you kids. That's always a tough play.
And it would hit right on that seam of the grass and the dirt, and that changes always that hop.
Waiting to see how they score that.
That's got to be an error. Come on.
They've scored at a base hit.
Well, how about that home book? Where were they when we played?
That's Bill Shannon. You can't call Bill a homer. Valdez is 2 for 2, and Angel Pagan takes ball 1 from Jurgens. But you look at the talent on that 69 Mets team. Clendening came over and gave them a legitimate big bat, but he was a platoon player at first base with Crane Poole, and you had Ken Boswell and Al Weiss sharing second, and Buddy playing short, and Ed Charles and Wayne Garrett sharing third base. And Cleon was the big hitter that year. He had 340. There's Bill Shannon, the official scorer, and Agee had a terrific year. But you look at the totality of Agee's career. He wasn't a great player. He was a good player who had a great year. Hits deep to left center field off the bat of Pagan, and that one hops the wall. Valdez racing around third and being waved in. An RBI double for Angel Pagan makes it 11-2 Atlanta.
We'll see what Angel gets here. Fastball away. Belt high. Goes right with it. Nicely done.
I don't know about you guys, but Pagan has shown a lot more power this year, 2009 version with the Mets than 2008.
Here's Andy Green pinch hitting for Nelson Figueroa. Getting in the 2-hole. Green has pinch hit each of the last 2 nights. His first 2 men at bats. Figueroa going 2 innings in relief.
Well, when was your moment as a fan where you said, "Uh-oh, this team could do it"?
Well, as a kid, you're always optimistic.
Yeah.
Even when you don't expect your team to win. As Green pops it up, and McCann comes back to grab it. 2 out. But when they won 11 in a row in May that year in '69, you at least had the idea that this was a different kind of a team. However, when it got to August and they were 9 games out, you thought they were done. I mean, done.
And the Cubs were playing great with a lot of great stars.
And that's the thing. This was supposed to be the Cubs' year. The Cubs of '69 were like the Mets of '86, a team with homegrown talent that was ready to win. Ron Santo and Glenn Beckert and Ernie Banks and Don Kessinger, all guys who had grown up together. Billy Williams. And, they had Leo DeRocher as their manager, who was a legend. And, those were the standings on this date in 1969. Mets were 8 games out.
The Mets were playing great ball, 16 games over, but the Cubs were just running away.
But the Mets finish was unbelievable. And the September series, the early September series, they played at Shea against the Cubs when they swept them, and they just went right past them.
3 or 4 games.
It's 2 games.
Just a 2-game series. Wow.
And down the stretch, the Mets seem to get shutout pitching every day.
Well, they beat Jenkins in that 2-game series, didn't they? Fergie?
Bill Hands. And Ferguson Jenkins. Yeah.
That was their 1-2 pitchers. I think Bill Hands won. Did he win 18 that year? I'm not sure.
You know, it's weird about that. There comes a time sometimes in a season where the team chasing knows they're going to catch them, and the team that's ahead also knows that the team that's behind is going to overtake them also. And that is a strange moment, I'll tell you.
Yeah, you don't want to be the team looking over your shoulder.
Yeah.
It's like you're looking to what you're finally looking for something to go wrong. Murphy's Law.
It's like the '64 Phils, right?
Well, there was karma there. You know, there was the black cat going in front of the Cubs dugout. There was Ron Santo that year clicking his heels after every victory, which was unheard of at the time. And you know, karma.
Yeah. It's a humbling game.
2-2 to Sheffield. But really, you want to know, the day the Mets really came of age was the July series against the Cubs when Seaver threw the near perfect game, because there were 57,000 people at Shea, and it was the day that you understood as a Met fan that the Mets could compete at that level. Escobar throws out Sheffield. Mets get a run in the bottom of the 5th. Tim Redding will come on to pitch in the 6th. It's been all Atlanta tonight. Available in HD, presented by IOTV. And if you're in the car, listen to every Met game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Final game of the series tomorrow night. Johan Santana tries again for his 14th win against Kenshin Kawakami. Then 4 games with the Phillies starting on Friday night. The series will feature the return of Pedro Martinez on Sunday afternoon. Then the Mets go to Florida, to Chicago, and yes, to Denver, Colorado.
And it looks like they're not playing the Bears, folks. They are playing the Cubs.
Andy Green stays in to play second base. Anderson Hernandez, who started the game at short, moved to second, has gone back to short, and Wilson Valdez has moved out to left field as Gary Sheffield comes out of the game. Tim Redding will hit in Sheffield's spot, and Brian McCann leads off as we start the 6th inning.
Well, Tim Redding had an outstanding relief appearance in early August against the Diamondbacks. 3 1/3 of scoreless innings. His last appearance against San Francisco, not so good. 3 runs in an inning of work.
Brian McCann capped the 8-run second inning for the Braves with a 3-run homer, his 14th of the year. He also had a single to lead off that second inning. The teams have traded 8-run innings the last 2 nights.
Phillies crushing Arizona 7-1 in the 7th.
And by the way, this just in as Murphy handles the ground ball by McCann. Cliff Lee is pretty good. He's allowed 1 hit tonight.
He has been picture perfect for that Philly team, and he has just given that starting rotation, which started the year suspect, is now a pretty strong starting 5. With the emergence of J.A. Happ, who's thrown brilliantly.
They haven't got a lot out of Hamels. That's been the problem.
He's been their worst starter.
Because Blanton got off to the bad start, but Blanton's been pitching wonderfully.
And J. Happ might be the National League Rookie of the Year, unless Tommy Hanson beats him out. I mean, those two pitchers, along with Randy Wells of the Cubs, I think the Rookie of the Year is going to come down to pitching this year because there's really no standout offensive player. LaRoche is 1 for 3. Speaking of Randy Wells and the Cubs, can anybody explain that team to me? How is that team with all that talent 3 games over 500?
Well, one, they have struggled offensively all season long. Aramis Ramirez, their third baseman, has been on the DL twice. I didn't realize this when I watched that team, but he seems to be the real focal point. I always thought it was Derek Lee.
Right.
But missing Ramirez has hurt them offensively.
And Soriano's just had a terrible year.
You know, sometimes it's in the stars, it's your year to win, and you don't. You know, the stars may not be aligned ever again.
Well, maybe even worse, Keith. They've had 2 chances in the postseason and have been swept 2 years in a row. And sometimes that just takes the wind out of your sails.
You see the standings right there. They played terribly in that playoff round after the first playoff round.
Well, also, the Cardinals have played better than anybody thought they would. The return of Chris Carpenter has solidified their rotation as LaRoche bombs one to deep right center, and forget that. Another huge home run into right center field. McCann hit one earlier, and now LaRoche goes to the bridge to make it 12-2. Second home run in 2 nights, 19 on the year now for LaRoche.
Well, I believe it's a fastball. Not in enough and down in the wheelhouse. Almost to the bridge.
That one went right into the bridge terrace seating. Again, might have even gone to the same seat where McCann hit his.
Well, your IOTV pitch differential.
Up and in to Yunel Escobar. That's what used to happen in the old days after somebody hit a home run.
Although that pitch was not that up and it was not that in.
Right. Well, Escobar thought it was.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he begged to differ.
Out to right field, and that'll slice away foul.
It's amazing how that swing on the slider away, so much different after the ball is up and in.
Want to know what the big news of the night is? Hit hard and a base hit for Escobar, his 3rd hit of the night. The big news of the night is that when we passed out the birthday cake,
yes,
Dave Freed, our statistician, turned it down.
Well, he's been on top of his game plan this season.
Dave can lose a few over there.
Oh, geez.
He's already lost a lot.
He looks great.
He's down 25. Look at him. He's svelte. Now that's a hat. It's a birthday hat. That's not your birthday hat, is it? Out to right field deep. Back toward the corner, and it's out of here. Matt Diaz with an opposite field 2-run homer. And now it's 14-2. A rare Citi Field opposite field home run tucked into the corner. Number 9 for Diaz, his 2nd in 2 nights.
Wanted it in and up and out of the outer half. Diaz is looking to go that way, and it is one of those nights.
14-2. Brian Church is a single and a double, and he's driven in a run. Braves with 14 runs and 15 hits.
Wow.
After the Mets last night had 17 hits. I think this was a pitcher's park. 1-1 to Church. So a rough inning for Tim Redding. He's given up a couple of bombs. 3 home runs for the Braves tonight. I just got a bullet.
Why the 8th?
Why the 8th what?
Tell the bulletin.
We're going to take phone calls tonight.
In the 8th?
We haven't done that in a long time. I'm really looking forward to that. We haven't talked to the fans one-on-one or 3-on-1 in quite some time.
I think they need a little venting.
Maybe we'll get a call from the schmooze.
Now he gets his own calls.
He's busy doing his soliloquy, writing that up.
Writing his ad libs.
Yes.
People are still here. Sure. These are the diehards, Gary. You said it.
Hey, it's a night at the ballpark.
Why not?
Nice warm August evening. The food is good.
Hey, my
drinks
feeling,
are cold.
My feeling is you still got, if you got kids, you can still watch Chipper Jones hit.
Nachos.
You can watch McCann hit. You can watch some good hitters on both sides and learn something.
Don't forget the fries at Box Freaks.
Here you go.
Church bounces one foul. Ronnie, did you know that you pitched twice on your birthday and won both times?
Did I?
1985 beat the Expos 1-0. 1986 beat the Dodgers 6-4. Church is down for the second out of the inning. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Perfect on August the 19th.
That sounded like Keith stayed up late a couple nights right there.
Let's check in with Chris Carlin. He's standing by with the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. That team can hit home runs.
I didn't hear him. What did he say?
He said the Phillies hit 3 home runs.
No, before they were too loud in our ear. Now you can hardly hear them. What's with that?
Maybe Chris was just whispering. Jurgens taps one to the right side. And Murphy flips to Redding to bring it in to that inning. An inning in which Redding gave up a couple of long balls. This one longer than most. Now LaRoche taking one to the Bridge Terrace seating. And Matt Diaz tucking one into the corner to make it 14-2.
shot over the Amazons tonight. And, you know, think about this Braves team in playoff contention. And, guys, they could be getting back Tim Hudson very, very soon. I talked to him today. His target date to return is September the 2nd. He's got 2 more rehab starts. That's it. And I asked him about his rehab starts. What's the thing he's now working on? He said control. He said, I feel great. My arm feels great. He said, I actually feel like I'm throwing too many strikes. Don't really have that total command of the strike zone that I want, so I need to work on that the last few starts. But here's a Braves team that's going to get Tim Hudson back. Now, they have not said whether or not they'll put him in the rotation. I find it hard to believe that they wouldn't put him in the rotation, but then again, you never know. I asked him the toughest part about the rehab, the toughest part about dealing with this. It'll be 13 months for him by the time he comes back. He said the toughest thing has to be patience, and that is staying with the plan and trying not to do too much. He said, perfect example, spring training. You're down there, everybody's raring to go, the weather's great, and all the guys are firing off the mound of the bullpen, and then here I am throwing from 30 feet and throwing 20 pitches at 50%. He said that is hard to do, but if you stay with it, you get to be better, and he's feeling pretty good. But what a weapon, guys. Back to you.
Murphy pulling one down the line into the deep corner where Diaz has to chase it down. That will enable Murphy to go for 3. And Daniel Murphy has his 2nd triple of the year.
Oh, they got a slider right there, up, turned on it nicely. No, this kind of game, there's not a sense of urgency, but Murph hustling all the way. Super Mario.
By the way, speaking of Super, I understand that Kevin, after that last report, made a beeline for the taqueria, and he's going to be making tacos.
Bring me one.
We'll be checking in with Kevin a little later.
Nice.
We're taking phone calls. Kevin's making tacos. It's 14-2. Here's Frank Gore, who's 0 for 2 tonight.
You know, guys, there's a caveat to that. If they let me, I think we should be put on the end of that. But it'll be fun.
Why wouldn't they?
I don't know. I mean, my hands are clean. You know, I take showers. It's okay.
Let's see if he has to wear one of those hair nets. 1 and 2 to Frank Gore.
Oh, there he goes.
He's off.
Kevin can double up, too. It's like he could put on a few pounds. Double up.
We've already had birthday cake. We need taco to wash it down. 1-2 from Jurgens, and he struck him out on a breaking ball in the dirt, and Frank Gore doesn't bother running, and Ken casually slaps a tag on him for the first out. 3rd strikeout for Jurgens, 2nd time he's gotten Frank Gore. Here's your 6th inning recap, and Braves are winning big. 8 runs in the 2nd inning, capped by McCann's 3-run homer. LaRoche and Diaz have added home runs. Bobby Parnell not helped that much by his defense, but nonetheless 9 runs in 3 innings. Ugly night for Parnell in his 3rd big league start. Now Tatis, who's 1 for 2, single to right his last time up. Kevin delivered the news about Tim Hudson making his comeback with the Braves. A couple of other pitchers looking to make comebacks. John Smoltz today signing with the St. Louis Cardinals after being released by the Red Sox.
He went to the right place. They've been looking for a guy to fill that 5th role. They opens up on Sunday. They will need a starter. Smoltz has been throwing simulated games down in Atlanta, throwing in between this entire time after getting let go by the Red Sox.
Now let me ask you this. You were once traded to a Dave Duncan, Tony La Russa team. What's the first thing that Dunk will do with Smoltz?
He will do nothing. He will listen. You know, he will not proselytize. He will not go up to Smoltz. We're talking about a guy who's going to be a Hall of Famer. He will listen to Smoltz and Smoltz what he thinks he can do at this point in his career. And as he watches him pitch a couple times, then he'll mention things that maybe he could change or think about.
It's a nice gamble by the Cardinals.
Yes.
Right
Well,
there.
if your choice is pitching Mitchell Boggs or John Smoltz in that 5th spot, why wouldn't you take a chance?
Or Will Meyer, who is hurt now. Hurt, or is he in the bullpen? I know he's in the bullpen. Yes.
Yeah. 2-2 to Tatis. In there for a call, strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts for Jurgens after the leadoff triple by Murphy.
Fastball in. Let's see if he gets it in. Tatis thought it was inside. Looks like it's too close to take for me.
The one thing about Jurgens that you don't see a lot from young pitchers is that he'll cruise around and he'll be throwing his fastball to spots, breaking balls, slider. When he needs a strikeout, you'll see that fastball go up a couple miles an hour. He always has a little in reserve.
Santos shoots one foul that makes it into the far end of the dugout. Kelly Johnson now playing second base for the Braves. Chipper Jones came out, so Omar Infante moved over to third. So Kelly Johnson will hit in Chipper Jones' spot in the batting order. One and one to Santos. Jurgens well on his way to his 10th win of the year. Johan Santana takes the mound tomorrow night against Kenshin Kawakami. Final game of this series before the Phillies come in for the weekend. By the way, speaking of the weekend, Oliver Perez will throw a bullpen tomorrow. He said his right knee is still a little sore after coming out of the game yesterday. Intends to pitch Sunday, but will know more after he throws his bullpen tomorrow. Broken bat grounder, and Escobar handles it. So after the leadoff triple, Murphy is stranded at third. 6 in the books at Citi Field. Braves with a couple of touchdowns. Truth in engineering.
Since Swinky, analyze it.
Nice stance. Oh, that's all right. Top half of the ball. Keep grinding the ball. Whoa. I don't know what to tell her.
She's very persistent, and that's a good thing. Jeremy Reed comes in to play right field. Jeff Francoeur will get the rest of the night off. Omar Infante at the top of the order for the Braves has gone 3 for 4 tonight. 2 singles and a double. He's driven in 3. He's scored 1. Infante with his 3 hits tonight has his batting average up to .340 for the year. Tim Redding, the third Met pitcher. Bobby Parnell went the first 3, allowed 9 runs, 9 hits. Nelson Figueroa 2 innings, 2 runs, 3 hits, and then Redding got tagged for 3 runs and 3 hits in the 6th. It's been a community affair. The Mets bullpen is going to get a boost in the next couple of days. Billy Wagner threw a bullpen session yesterday. Today was just a light tossing day for Billy, and he could be activated as early as tomorrow. That decision will be made tomorrow, whether to put Billy on the roster or wait till Friday. But one way or another, the Mets will have an extra arm and one who will be fun to watch make his comeback. Talked about Hudson coming back from surgery and Billy doing the same. And obviously it's a little easier for a relief pitcher to come back in a shorter period of time from Tommy John surgery. As Infante pops one off to shallow left, and Valdez, an infielder playing the outfield, makes the catch, one away. Well, in the top of the 8th, we're going to take your phone calls, so you can get on the horn and get in line. 212-BUZZ-SNY. That's 212-BUZZ-SNY. That's more of a a loudmouth kind of a phone number, but we're borrowing it for the night.
Please call.
Oh, people will call. Here's Reed Gurecki making his big league debut. And first pitch he sees, he flies one out to right center where Angel Pagan is camped for the second out. So Reed Gurecki out of Kellenberg Memorial High School in Uniondale, back playing in his hometown. First pitch.
Didn't waste any time, did it?
Makes it out.
I had to take my first pitch. I was so nervous.
Was it a strike or a ball?
I forget. It was Mo. It was a ball. Mike Caldwell.
Tough left-hander.
Yeah. That's why I took the first pitch.
You were looking for a walk right away?
No. I just wanted to see it.
Where was Caldwell when he faced
Giants?
Oh, before he went to Milwaukee.
Yeah, with the Giants. My debuted in Candlestick in front of my home folks. That was murder.
Kelly Johnson up for the first time, drives one out to left. Tougher play for Valdez, and he runs it down. Nicely done. Wilson Valdez at age 31 can still run a little bit. 7th inning stretch. Oh, Kevin's getting ready. The hairnet is close behind. Tacos. Time to ask the booth, courtesy of Dunkin' Donuts. Michelle from Long Island City wants to know, on the days you were pitching, Ron, what did you do in the dugout when the team was hitting?
Well, Michelle, on a night like this, when it's really muggy, most of the time you would go back up to the clubhouse. Charlie Samuels, the equipment manager, would have a nice new top for you, a nice new undershirt, and really you would wipe down and change and come back and try to get, all that sweat that accumulates on a night like this. If it was once you had done that, you'd come back and you'd observe the ball game and just try to watch what was going on. And my feeling when I was pitching was to be really quiet. Leave me alone. Let me be in my own thoughts. Other pitchers are different. Some guys like to bounce around and talk to a lot of people, but mine was to be as quiet and trying to get in the zone as I could.
I always left you alone.
Yes.
And I knew right away from the get-go.
David Ross has come in to catch. Manny Acosta pitching the bottom of the 7th. I mean, were you focusing on the hitters coming up the next inning, or were you just watching what your team was doing at the plate as Anderson Hernandez flies out to read Gurecki for the first out?
Oh, no, there was definitely a part of me that I'm rooting for our team as we're getting guys on, and, you know, who's going to get a big hit. But honestly, I was just going over the hitters I was going to have to face in the next inning. If it's getting late in the game and the pitcher spot coming up, who am I going to have to face coming off the bench? Make sure I got in my mind that particular player and how I'm going to go about getting him out. If the first hitter is up and we're up by 3 or 4 runs, and I know he's going to take the first pitch, I got to make sure I pound that first one in. All those kind of things go through your head.
How many batters ahead do you think when you're pitching again?
Well, I think it's a fine line. You have to stay in the moment, but at the same time understand the game of baseball and understand what kind of game you're in. Mr. Jurgens here, he just has to stay in the moment, make pitches, and go batter to batter. As I missed because I was talking too much. Costa's now in the pitching for the Braves.
But that's what Jurgens was doing.
And Acosta has to do that also here.
Wilson Valdez 2 for 2 coming off the bench. He scored a couple of runs.
But what I used to do, honestly, but the night before, Gary, is that I would go through the entire lineup as a, put your head on your pillow, go through the whole lineup, 1 through 9, and of course, as a pitcher starting a dream, it was always 9 up and 9 down. No one ever got a hit, but just trying to throw the right pitch.
Infante with a long throw into the runner, and Valdez avoided the baseball, and he's out at first. 2 out. Let's check in with Chris Carlin in the studio. Time for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. This is quite a birthday celebration.
No, you know me. I try to go under the radar, stay in the weeds, but not working.
Does the lovely Miss Darling have something planned for you tonight?
Monday. Well, I had him off day on Monday, so we celebrated it then with our friends out on the island.
By the way, if you think this one is a little, a little burdensome, wait till next year.
I know. I was hoping that maybe we have a 3-man booth on the road and we'll be able to really celebrate.
Let's see where Kevin is in his taco making process.
Yeah, guys, I'm here with Evan Korn, the manager here. It's time to make some tacos. I mean, what else am I doing right now? So, all right, we got the meat stations here, the pork, the steak, the chicken. So, take a nice handy helping, right? You tell me if I mess this up, Ev. I'm a rookie. All right, good. So we bring, how about a little steak on that, too? What do you think, guys? Steak and the pork are the same thing?
Wow.
I think you look great in that apron.
14-2.
I'll wear it on camera for you tomorrow.
Keith, it's called...
And then what do we do with this? How much do we throw in here, Ev?
A little bit of onion, just like that. A little bit of cilantro to garnish.
More cilantro.
And a nice...
More cilantro. Keith wants more. Keith, these aren't yours.
Nice squeeze of lime. There you go.
And then what happens? This goes in a box,
I think you need 2 hands, Kevin.
2 hands? I have a mic in one hand. I got a question. Like, I have the gloves on, but it's touching the dirty mic. Does that kind of offset it?
Well, I think you're done because Pagan just struck out. We'll take calls when we come back. 212 Buzz SNY. You can ask about tacos, Ron's birthday, whatever you want. Field, and so we figured this would be the perfect time for us to take some phone calls at 212-BUZZ-SNY, and we'll get started with that in just a moment as David Ross leads off for the Braves in the 8th inning.
Let's get started now.
Well, we have to get the phone lines all straightened out and all the technical particulars. As Ross swinging at the first pitch, flies one out to Pagan, and we're told that the phones are open, and so we'll start with Jim from Long Island. Jim, how you doing tonight?
Well, I'll tell you what, big guy, you get season tickets next year.
Well, I think, Jim, there's been conversation over the last few years about the possibility of maybe trading the DH for an extra roster spot or two, because the union's been reluctant to give up the DH because it's usually a highly paid player. So I think that's the thing that would make the most sense in order to add those extra bench players that you're right would flesh out the dugout, give the manager more options.
It would give him more options, but I think what we're trying to do on some of these organizations, and we'll see the president of one of these organizations, Nolan Ryan, this weekend, that are trying to go back where these pitchers, starting pitchers especially, will throw 125 to 130 pitches. If you ever get to that position, then you can reduce those people that are out in the bullpen. And if you ever do that and get down to maybe 10 or 11 in the day when we used to leave in the 80s, we'd bring 9 pitchers, 4 starters and 5 relievers. If you could ever get to that point, that'd be a beautiful game, again, to watch as far as a manager using guys here and there over the course of the game.
All right, let's go to Jerry from Long Island. Jerry, you're next.
Thank you. Well, it depends on what they do in the offseason. I think Pagan certainly can play every day, but it may be more of a 4th outfielder, but he can play all 3 outfield positions. That's a positive for Angel. So Cora is a veteran. He comes back healthy. He was supposed to be the utility infielder in this ball club, and there's a very good chance that he can be back. You know, Cora is a very positive influence on this club. Has a lot of influence, leadership in a very, very, very positive way. I think he's a plus to have on the ball club, and really his role was to be, spell Reyes, spell Castillo. That turned out with all the injuries, he wound up getting a lot of playing time, and with bad thumbs.
Let's go to Paul from Florida. Paul, you're on with the guys in the booth. Hey, Paul.
Hi.
Well, the guy they've got, Paul, is Ike Davis, who was their #1 pick a couple of years ago. He will probably not be ready next year, but maybe by the middle of next year or in 2011, Ike Davis is the guy that they're thinking about as their first baseman of the future, if it's not Daniel Murphy. We'll take more calls when we come back in the bottom of the 8th, 14-2 Atlanta. 212-BUZZ. 7:10 p.m. Bet it's a rubber game. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your printed home tickets. Now, Johan Santana on the mound for the Mets tomorrow night. Boone Logan on the mound for the Atlanta Braves as we go to the bottom of the 8th.
We saw Boone Logan throw in last night's ball game. Showed excellent stuff. Fastball around 95 miles an hour. Good slider. Only his 15th game for these Atlanta Bravos.
Former Chicago White Sox left-hander will face Andy Green leading off in the 8th. Green pinch hit in the 5th, stayed in the game at second base. It'll be Green, then Corey Sullivan out on deck to pinch hit. And then Daniel Murphy here in the bottom of the 8th. I think we're taking more phone calls. Brad from Manhattan, you're next up.
Oh, boy. That's a good question.
That's a great question.
Now, I have seen
some
I've
teams throwing balls.
Catchers throw the ball to first.
Yes, throw the ball to first. There's some teams that do it with a right-hander hitting. Instead of throwing over the right-hander's body to third, they'll go to first and go opposite around the horn.
But I know what our man's saying. The traditional is catcher throws to third, third baseman throws to second, second to short, short to third, back to the pitcher.
And you know what, Brad, I was very happy not to be a part of that. It was really a pain.
We're learning more things about your team play as we go along here.
The theory is that the infielders need to keep their arms loose during the inning, and the first baseman doesn't throw as much. How about that?
There you go. Sometimes there's no answer.
That's a good question, though.
Great question.
Matt from Manhattan here next. As Andy Green has a base hit, his first as a Met. Congratulations to Andy. Sorry, Matt, we didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, but I got my phone.
I think that there was no one moment for this team, because I think that when you look back at the trajectory of the 2009 season, when we get to the end, the first thing that everybody's going to talk about is the injuries. And sure, the injuries have been overwhelming.
Yes.
But this team was not playing very well even before the injuries started. There was a lot of bad baseball being played, whether it was guys not sliding, guys missing third base, guys not covering on fielders' choices, as we saw tonight. That kind of stuff was pervasive even before the injuries began. Condiments?
Chili?
Kevin's working harder now than he does when he's working for us. I mean, look at him.
I don't like that that there are no rubber gloves on there.
That is false hustle right there, Kevin.
Well,
Logan gets the force and second for the first time.
Was there a second part to that?
well, the first part, I guess what he was asking us, Keith, is that was there a moment for you where you said that things started to go right? For me, it was really the Beltran injury, because I know there were talks of a lot of injuries, whatever, but even at that point, the second time he went down, you thought everyone else was coming back. So you thought that Reyes was on his way back. You thought Delgado was on his way back. So you thought that Beltran and Wright could kind of hold them steady until those guys came down. And when he went down, to me, that was the signal to me of the end. So to answer the second part of your question, with the line drive to right field.
Eats up Diaz, goes behind him. Sullivan to third, and Murphy into second base. So Murphy has his second straight extra base hit. I assume they'll call that a double. Maybe not.
It should be a double. Watch. Phil Shannon will give it an E9. He's going to catch that ball.
And it is a double.
Oh, got caught going back and forth.
And the second part of the question, could the Mets win? I'll take you back to a year that you might not think of. 2001. Right about this time in 2001, the Mets were buried. There were something like 13, 14 games out of first place. They went on an incredible run in late August and early September to put themselves in a position where they actually were in the race. And then shortly after the teams, took the week off after 9/11, they had the series against the Braves where Piazza hit the home run, but then they lost the last game of that series, and they kind of faded out of view from that point. But they went from a position where they were kind of in the situation the Mets are in now to being at least in the race in the middle of September. So those things do happen sometimes. That's a fair ball, and Ross throws out Reed for the second out. Let's go to Steve from Connecticut. Steve, you're next.
It's pretty funny, Steve. Gary and I were talking about that before the game today. There's 3 P's in it for me anyway. Santana, and then, of course, you have Pelfrey, Parnell, and Perez is going to be in that rotation. So those are the guys that are going to go with Santana. And I put Nice. I penciled Nice in there. Now, we don't know because of the injury how he's going to come back. But that could be the rotation you're looking at next year, 2010, coming out of spring training. Do you see any differences, Keith? I mean, you could definitely have a trade or sign a free agent that could take one of those spots, but that could be a rotation.
I agree with you 100%. And you never know what happens in the offseason, who they trade, who they go after, who they bring in. So, but if you had to do it right now, that's got to be the starting 5.
And of course, left out of that conversation is the guy who's maybe been the biggest mystery this year, and that's John Maine, who's just basically disappeared off the radar. Tatis is 1 for 3 tonight. To second base, where Kelly Johnson has it. And that'll do it for the Mets in the bottom of the 8th inning. Kevin continues to apply his new trade. It's good to have a backup plan if things don't work out. Takes a crack at his 14th victory of the season against Kenshin Kawakami. Game tomorrow night on PIX11 starting at 7 o'clock. Well, more changes for the Mets defensively as we go to the 9th inning. This is like a Bobby Valentine spring training game. Anderson Hernandez has played short, second, short, and now back to second. Wilson Valdez has played short and left, and he's back to short. And Andy Green, who played second, is now at third. And Corey Sullivan, who pinch hit, stays in left. And Sean Green will pitch the 9th inning. I think we have it all straight.
Do you got that, folks?
Ryan Church will lead off in the 9th inning. Church has 2 of the Braves' 16 hits. Braves scored 8 runs in the 2nd inning against Bobby Parnell, and this game has kind of been on ice ever since then.
Yeah.
And just to give you an idea what kind of game this is, behind Church on deck is Chris Medlin, who is a pitcher. There he is.
Converted shortstop back, Gary.
So you're saying a potential real bat.
A threat is not the word, but something less than that.
Of course, he's 0 for 12 in the majors.
He swung a good bat last night, though.
And Church has his 3rd hit of the night. So after Frank Corr had a 3-hit night last night, the guy who was traded for has his 3rd hit in this game. A single and 2 doubles for Ryan Church. And the Braves have their 17th hit after the Mets had 17 last night. Well, symmetry.
Take that. Sinker that didn't sink. Church covers it all over it. So Francoeur got 3 hits last night. Church counters with his own 3.
The 14 runs against the Mets is not a season high. You'll recall the Mets surrendered 15 against the Yankees. Well, the crowd has thinned out.
Well, it'll be easy getaway tonight.
By the way, thank you to all our callers.
Yes,
they were very pleasant.
Yes, they were pleasant. I think they're come to terms with the season.
I mean, it wasn't an angry mob.
No. No such thing.
Oh, and 2 to Medlin. Tonight in Philadelphia, Cliff Lee, a complete game, 2-hitter, no walks, 11 strikeouts.
Wow. He's 4-0 with them now? Or is it 3-0? I think it's 4-0. Wow, what a pickup. And when Philly needed pitching, as always, was pitching shy. Now they are rich.
Well, he was 7-9 with Cleveland this year.
He had pitched much better than that, though.
They got to the bad start, right?
And then the bullpen was just awful for Cleveland.
Jason Worth hit 2 home runs tonight. He now has 27. That's your top complimentary player.
Yeah.
Medlin down swinging, and there's the first out for Sean Green at the top of the ninth. So with the Phillies winning, the Braves need to win to stay 6.5 behind. Florida is 5. What started the day 4.5 behind. They trail at Houston 4-2 in the 5th. By the way, we haven't talked about this. You see this incredible stat on the Marlins in double-digit hit games?
14 games in a row.
The last time a major league team had 14 straight games with double digits in hits, the 1937 St. Louis Browns.
Really?
The Marlins have 6 hits tonight through 5 innings.
The record is 18 with the 25 Indians and the 22 Browns.
The Browns?
They were bad, weren't they?
I thought so.
Most of their history they were, except 1944.
I see where San Francisco got a run to take the lead in the 8th in Cincinnati, so that's a must for all the games are must now.
Giants trailed the Rockies by 1 game starting play today for the wild card. You know who's a huge St. Louis Browns fan? Arthur Richmond.
Yes.
Well, yes.
Because he traveled with them.
We lost Arthur this year.
Arthur and his brother Milton, who was a fine sports writer, said the Browns players were the nicest to them when they used to hang out in the hotel lobby to meet visiting players in New York. Because I guess, you know, the Browns didn't have a whole lot of people greeting them in the hotel lobby.
That's right. Milton Richmond, also an outstanding writer. But Arthur was our traveling secretary, so hopefully Upstairs, he is having a hot toddy, Keith.
Amongst other things.
There's a strike to Infante, 3-2. Omar Infante with 3 hits tonight, 2 singles and a double. He's driven in 3.
Arthur's favorite line was, "Keithy, we're going down the tubes."
That was in April.
Andy Green can't handle it cleanly, and that allows Infante to reach. Well, what Jerry Manuel is doing tonight is moving some utility men around to see where they might be comfortable and where they might not be.
Spring training game.
Error charge to Green.
Green, who got most of his big league time with the Arizona Diamondbacks, right?
And he's a second baseman.
Yeah.
That's his position. But again, if you're going to have value at the major league level as a backup infielder, particularly in the days of 12-man pitching staffs and 5-man benches, you've got to be able to play multiple positions, unless you're a big slugger coming off the bench or a backup catcher.
The ultimate guy for the National League team right now, with the guys carrying so much pitching, like so many pitchers, like our questioner asked, would be a guy who can play the infield and could be an emergency catcher if you had to.
Here's Reed Gurecki up for the second time in the major leagues, and he has his first big league hit. And it sounds like he's got some fans from his home in Long Island. He has his first big league RBI as Church comes in to score, and it's now 15-2. Reed Gurecki out of Kellenberg Memorial High School in Uniondale and the University of Delaware. And there's his rooting section. And he cannot stifle that smile.
Oh, it's always good to get your first hit under your belt. Nice swing. Rips this ball.
So congratulations to Reed and the entire Gurecki family. Now Kelly Johnson up for the second time. Terry Pendleton takes possession of the ball and then plays a little joke. That's not the real ball, of course. Do they do that to every kid?
Every kid. Every first hit.
Do they then take another ball and rip it up and put misinformation and misspellings on it?
It looks like the baseball you used to play with as a kid in Queens. That's what the ball looks like on the street corner.
We had a lot of tape on ours.
And that's one of the tape on yours, right? And then hopefully one of the trainers, it's usually the trainer, sometimes the equipment manager, will have beautiful penmanship and will write it out very nicely of your first hit.
One for the trophy case. Murphy in to play it, but glove flip to Green. And they get the out at first on Johnson as the runners advance to second and third.
First hit, Keith, against who?
Mike Caldwell. Gene Gieselman was our trainer in St. Louis, and he had supplanted trainer emeritus Bob Bowman, who had been the trainer for the Cardinals for decades. And Bob used Indian ink, and he was in his 70s, red and black ink, and he just would my first ball, he'd have the line score, he'd have the doubles, triples, errors, attendance, date, home runs on one side, and then what I did on the other wide side of the ball, what my day was. So I have my first hit, I have my 1,000th hit, 2,000th hit, I have my 1,500th hit, I have my 500th RBI, 1,000th RBI, all from Doc Bowman. Very nice. I have them at home. I would never part with those.
So we shouldn't be looking for those on eBay.
No, you will not find them on eBay. I got so many golden gloves, you might find one there.
1-2 to David Ross.
Just kidding.
I mean, 11, right?
Yes. My daughters have 3 of them. I have 2 of my daughters that were born when I was playing, And so they have the year they were born. And don't ask me the year.
So you won a Gold Glove the year each of your daughters were born.
Yes, except the oldest was my adopted daughter, Jessie. It was born before I was playing. She was born when I was in Double-A.
Do they have Gold Gloves in Double-A?
No, they don't.
Two and two to David Ross. And Green gets him swinging. Second strikeout of the inning for Green. Braves had an unearned run, equaling the most runs scored against the Mets in a game this year. Tonight's exclusive interviews, Jerry's post-game reactions to tonight's debacle on Lincoln Mercury post-game live immediately after tonight's game and after all 162 Mets games right here on SNY. Next SNY game will be on Friday night when the Mets play the Phillies. Tomorrow night's game is on Picks. Mike Pelfrey against Cole Hamels in that series opener on Friday night. 6:30 the coverage right here on SNY. Interesting move by Bobby Cox bringing in Rafael Soriano, who's been battling a sore shoulder.
I don't think it's such a bad move, though, because if he's out there and he can pitch, he has struggled lately. Only 1 home run in his first 45 appearances, 3 home runs in his last 8 games. So what a perfect game to get in and try to get right.
Omir Santos will lead off the last of the ninth. The Mets have had 10 hits tonight, but only 2 runs. Braves with 15 runs on 18 hits. Santos 1 for 3. Pops the first pitch foul back and out of play. So what you're saying is basically they're trying to find out if Soriano is healthy in a game that they are comfortably ahead in.
Yes, and also, and I'm certainly not saying this about Mr. Soriano, but I think what happens a lot of times, and I hear it all the time, and I watched it, watched the pitcher throw 99 miles an hour and the next day go on the DL, is that, sometimes you struggle through some starts, and, there's talk of, I'm not 100%. Well, no one's 100%. It's August 19th. Everyone's feeling a little testy.
I just see the body language here. I don't think Soriano wants to be out there. How many times you've seen closers go out in games? It's not a tight game, and they wind up getting knocked around.
Let me ask you, if the Braves were to make the postseason this year in a big spot, who's their closer, Gonzalez or Soriano?
Well, earlier this year they were switching back and forth. If the 8th inning situation presented a lot of lefties, Gonzalez would pitch the 8th. If the 9th inning presented lefties, Gonzalez would be the saver.
Ball 4 and Santos is on. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Toyota. By Geico. And by Citi. Citi never sleeps. Now Anderson Hernandez is 0 for 3 tonight. Anderson started the game at shortstop, moved to second base in the 4th inning, moved to shortstop in the 6th inning, and moved back to second base in the 9th inning. Cha-cha-cha. Fastball strike 1-2, 96 from Soriano.
I think his shoulder's okay.
Well, Anderson Hernandez wasn't even a Met 2 weeks ago. Now he's the starting shortstop, probably for the remainder of the year. Wilson Valdez waiting on deck. Fisted down to third. Infante to second. Johnson's throw a little too late. 1 out in the last of the ninth. 5-4 the force play on Santos. So 1 out and 1 on, and now Wilson Valdez, who came on as a pinch hitter in the 3rd. Played shortstop in the 4th, moved to left field in the 6th, and then back to shortstop in the 9th.
And all that time, a couple of hits and a couple of runs.
Wilson had a stint with the Mets earlier this year, had one big game in Pittsburgh where he had a double and a triple, and then went back to Buffalo and was hot when he was called up. And here he is back in the big leagues again.
Well, we have to wish Alex Cora well, right? Tomorrow he has the surgery.
Yep, for the first of his 2 surgeries. This one on the right thumb. He'll have the left thumb done in about 5 weeks. Whose birthday is it tomorrow?
Actually, I played in. My birthday is October 20th. I played in only 1 game in my career on my birthday. And you won't believe what game that was. So you get Dave working on that.
Oh, it was a World Series game.
Yes.
Was it 82 or 86? Was it
82?
82. Game 7?
You got it.
Wow.
Can you believe that? My 28th birthday, I believe.
Well, you should know what year you were born.
Well, don't get me. Don't.
It is 15-2, Derek.
By the way, it's Corey Sullivan's birthday tomorrow.
There you go. There you go.
He'll be 30. Valdez down swinging, and that's the 2nd out here in the last of the ninth.
I have no problem blaming this loss on me. Kurt, when you make out the schedule next year, give me the day off because the Mets are not playing well.
Okay. We haven't seen the schedule for next year yet. Don't know what you'll be missing. Angel Pagan, the final hope for New York, and an RBI double back in the 5th inning. 1 for 3 in the game.
What did Valdez do? Did he strike out?
He did. Swinging.
Okay. Thank you.
Hernandez at first with 2 out, and Pagan fouls it back, and now the Mets are down to their final strike. Soriano trying to put on the finishing touches. And Pagan is down swinging, and the ball game is over. On the strength of an 8-run second inning, the Braves overwhelmed the Mets tonight. Home runs by Brian McCann, Adam LaRoche,